Today we're going to review how to make the accordion sketchbook. At any point during this video, you can check below to see the specific things you want to rewatch. You can also fast forward, you can rewind, you can pause as you're working, and hopefully this will be helpful to you as you complete your accordion sketchbook. The materials you need are some scissors, glue or tape, liquid glue is also fine, something to write with, and then a bunch of paper, like at least 20 sheets, really anything that you can find. Even if it already has writing or drawing on it, maybe it has some interesting patterns or textures. I found some envelopes that I'm excited to use in the sketchbook as well. Junk mail, and then of course just like regular piece of paper. If it's copy paper, lined paper, whatever it is, try to find as much as you can. And let's go ahead and get started. So the first step to making the accordion sketchbook is making one really long sheet of paper. And I recommend it being at least your height, if not longer. So I'm going to start with 2 pieces of copy paper. So now decide if you want your accordion book to be portrait orientation with the paper or landscape orientation. Both are fine. This is a shorter book and this is a taller book. I'm going to choose the landscape orientation because I know I'd like to add these envelopes in, and the size is just better in landscape orientation, right? So if I had it up here in portrait and this was the height, this wouldn't quite fit when the envelope is closed, right? There's a gap. So I'm going to do landscape. So if you're using glue, just put a strip of glue down on one side of one sheet of paper. Line up the other sheet. Make sure that everything is in a straight line. Be careful not to do this or that. And then smooth it out for about 10 seconds so the glue can adhere. If you're using tape, it's the same thing, just tape it. As many pieces as you need to use. I find that when I try to get a really long strip of tape, it always tangles up. So I'm going to use 2 smaller pieces. Masking tape, packing tape, decorative tape, double-sided tape, whatever you have will work today. Okay, so now my sketchbook is, this is 8.5 by 11 paper, so it's 22 inches long, right? 11 and 11. So I need to keep building it out to at least be my height. So I'm going to add another sheet of paper. This time I'm going to change it up. I'm going to add a piece of cardstock. It's a little thicker, firmer paper. It's also beige. So same thing as before. A strip of glue on one edge of one sheet of paper. Line up the next sheet and smooth it out for 10 seconds. Make sure that everything is lined up, and this is one straight line, as straight as possible. Okay, and we'll keep adding. This time I'm going to add an envelope, and we'll see what happens. So same thing. One strip of glue on one edge of one sheet of paper. Come and add the envelope. Straighten it out. Smooth it out for 10 seconds. Again, if you're using tape, just put the tape right on the seam for both pieces. Okay. So now this is about half my height, so I need to keep going. I'm actually going to leave this side. I'm going to leave this side like it is. I'm not going to add onto this side because I actually want this to be, I think I want this to be part of the edge, and I don't want to wind up having to fold this. So I'm going to let this be over to the side, and I'm going to keep adding on this direction. You might need to rearrange your workspace. The floor can sometimes be a really helpful studio space to work with something that is this large. This time I'm going to add this envelope, and I love this because whatever you put in it, you can see through this little window, which is exciting. Another strip of glue. Line it up, smooth it for 10 seconds. If you're using liquid glue, you might need to spend a little more time smoothing it out or letting it dry so that nothing falls apart as you're working. Okay, now I'm going to use this flap. I'm going to keep adding onto this flap. So I want this pocket to remain, I can still access it, so I'm not going to glue on top of that. I'm just going to glue right on the edge of the flap. So I'll add another sheet of copy paper. I'm lining it up, balancing it on both sides so that I know everything is matching up from top to bottom. Smooth it out. Okay. And let's see what else we have here. I actually found this paper bag, which I actually want to use for the sketchbook. So I'm going to just cut this out. I'm going to cut just on close to the edge here. And then on this side. And then cut it off from towards the bottom. So now I have this piece of paper from the bag, and I love this because it has a very cool design on the front. Some artist, some graphic designer somewhere, an illustrator made this. And then on the back it's just plain white paper, so that is a surface for drawing. So this is way too big right now. You can see there's an inch here and about an inch up here that it's just not matching up. So I'm going to make a mark, and I want to keep this handle. I really like that. That's a unique feature of this. So I'm going to make a mark here. And a mark here. So that's the top and the bottom of my book. So now I'll just need to cut. If it helps you to draw a line before you cut, please do that. Use a ruler or a straight edge. So that would be like this. And luckily this bag has a nice folded edge that I can just follow. Here it is. So there's actually already a fold, so I'm going to use that to my advantage, and I'm just going to use this as my tab. So that's where I'll put the glue. The fold is already there, so that's helpful. Now line this up. Smooth it out. Now, a sketchbook with a really cool handle. We can maybe use that later on. Okay, so this paper is super long. It's taller than me, which is good. So minimum your height. Check this out. Okay, and now I'm going to start by folding on this edge because I know I don't want my envelope to fold in half. I want to keep this not folded. It's going to be flat, so it's easy to get in and out of. So this first fold is very important because it determines the width of your book, right? So how wide your book is going to be. Here's a couple of examples. So this sketchbook is pretty narrow. This is like the width of a novel, right? However, this sketchbook is much wider. This is a square orientation, right? So you can see a lot wider. Okay, so you have to decide how wide you want your sketchbook to be. For this one, I'm going to choose somewhere in between. So whatever width you want, right? That's going to be determined right now for the book. So if you were over here, that would be quite a narrow sketchbook, right? Your pages would only be this wide. If you go all the way over here, you make a really large, wide sketchbook. That's, you know, what is that? Probably 14 inches. That's how wide your whole book is going to be. Okay, so make that decision now, how big you'd like your book to be, how wide. We already know how tall it is. That's this measurement. So for me, that's about, from here to here, maybe 9 inches or something. So line up the bottom edge. Very carefully, hold that tightly, and then just crease the edge. Okay, so it helps to have a table, the floor, a book, something hard that you can make that crisp crease. So there is the width of my book. So my book is going to fold together and it's going to be this size. Okay, so make your first fold. Then you're going to flip everything upside down. And this is what creates the accordion structure. So it's a zigzag. So now you're going to just keep folding, right? So it's upside down and you're going to fold this way, okay? And it's important here to pay attention to where the edge is of your book so that your book stays the same size. So if you went like this, that would be too far because now there's an extra loop in the book. If you went over here, like this, that would be too narrow because there's an extra space here. So you want it to fold up right in the middle. It should line up right with the edge, exactly with the edge as much as possible. So you're gonna line up the bottom, make sure you don't go like that or like that. So line it up, should be straight. That paper was cut by a machine, so it's already straight. Hold it down. This is lined up completely, you can see here. Just have a little bit over and that's okay. And make your folds. Okay, so now you have 2 folds. One's going that way, one's going that way. So we're gonna keep doing this until the whole book is folded up. So flip it over, upside down. Fold it over. Line it up here. That's too far. That's not far enough. And this is perfect. Line it up on the bottom. And crease. Okay, that should look like this. 3 folds now. So same thing. Flip it upside down. Fold it back. Line up the edge. And line up the bottom and the top. The top should be lined up if the bottom's lined up. And crease. Okay. Flip it upside down. Fold it over. Line up the edges. Line up the bottom. And crease. Okay. It should be growing. Well, actually it's shrinking into this, but then your folds should be growing, right? Each time you fold, you get another one. Okay, we're getting to the end here. So another fold. Line up the bottom, right? Careful that you're not over here. Line it up, it's all straight. Line up the edge. Crease. Flip it upside down, turn it over, line up the edge, crease, turn it over,